Ready to go, kiddos?
Yes, sir.
We're just zinned out right now. Sorry.
Feeling it. She leaves me hanging over here.
Oh, sorry.
All right, here we
I
go.
was zinned out.
I don't care. You can drink all the water you want.
You do whatever you want. It's our first show. We're setting a precedence of doing whatever we want.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Hello, this is so exciting. This is our first Good Medicine program in 2 years. So I took a 2-year hiatus from internet television, and by popular demand, all 2 people requested that we come on back. And really what Good Medicine is it's truly that. Whatever I learn and I incorporate into my life, I love to share with other people, because it's not cool to just keep it to myself, right? So I love to share good medicine with other people. My name is Holly Davis, and I'm a counselor here in Las Vegas, or life coach. What's the difference? I don't know. It's just too difficult. It's too complex. It's one is listening and one is pushing. So, or listening and then telling them, I don't want to hear that. Let's work on what you want in your life, not the things that you don't want. And I have a guest here today who's a chef. So what is a counselor and a chef going to talk about today? It's going to be very interesting. The concept that I came up with is food and fitness made easy. And really, when you get down to the bottom of it, ChefKas, Adam Kaswiner, right?
Yeah, but that's just not as sexy as ChefKas.
ChefKas is cool. ChefKas is cool. Coach Holly and ChefKas. That's what we're doing. Really, it's not easy. Have you ever thought of food just being easy? Maybe it comes easy for you, but not for me. What do you think?
That's a great question. You touched on a lot of points even in your opening that were really like, go back and watch this 5 times and you're going to pick up new things. And some of those things you address lead into a very specific point. And we want to look at things from a number of different categories when you talk about ease, because we don't want to focus on ease but lose the result. Right? So where most people struggle with their food choices and the things that they're eating, which will ultimately are your food choices, right? So where most people struggle isn't with the information. Most people know what they should eat. And when I say should is up to one person. You, me, whoever whoever, like you said, if someone comes to you as, you're my coach, I want to learn from you, please help me get better, then you're looking at it from one perspective. If somebody's just like kind of coming and they're being casual, and it's a different perspective. So if you're saying, I want to have a lot more energy, I want to get more from my food and have it take me less time and less thought and be less difficult. What are some techniques I can do? What are some kind of like hacks? And so that's the first thing, is you establish what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have your finger on that, what you're eating, people look at the how and not the why. In food science, we would always say, why is greater than how. So really we want to focus on what are you trying to achieve first.
I think you bring up some good points. I'm going to have to rewind that 5 times, okay? The truth is, everything has been made easy in our society, especially with food choices. You go to the grocery store and we're inundated. You drive down the street, we're inundated with, come here, in and out, you can eat. It's good stuff, it's fast, it's easy. And we want the results without the ease, right?
Did you
without
say the results?
results without any difficulty. We don't want to just make it. We don't want to make choices because we feel overwhelmed already. But here's the bottom line, and this is why good medicine is so important: is the people who see me, they don't feel good. They just don't feel good mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And sometimes I'll just say, they don't specifically ask me, hey, Holly, what are you eating? Nobody does that, right? But I will ask them, we've tried so many different things. We've tried so many approaches. And my question is, what are you eating? What did you eat today? Did you drink any water today? Because you seem out of sorts. You're tired. You don't have any energy. And if you don't think that messes with your psychological, just your overall well-being, it does. And so I've been asking lately clients, hey, what are you eating? And usually it's junky McJunk, or, I eat 1 meal a day of pasta. So with no judgment, I just say, hey, can I challenge you to a salad a day? And I don't ever, and here's the other part about good medicine for me, is I never ask anyone to do something or challenge them to do something that I don't do myself. I never make anyone the guinea pig. Right, John? I make everyone do what I've done. And when I say make, they came and asked me for help. So I try to keep them back on the target. You said you wanted help, and so here's what I do. Let's just start with one salad a day. What do you think about that? A salad a day.
Again, it's like the points that you're pointing to, right? So for people who are listening, for people who are watching, what they have to understand is what you're pointing to is going to be slightly different for them. Every person will be slightly different. But what you're pointing to is, how do I get these outcomes? And you addressed that people are going to come to you and they're going to say, you know, okay, you're telling me now food is important to me. But the way my life runs is going to stay the same. So again, we can't be focused exclusively on information, on knowledge. We have to focus on habits, on practices that people have discovered that work for them repeatedly. And one of the things that I talk a lot about is being a professional. When you're a professional, the difference between being a professional and being an amateur is professional gets paid. Okay? And generally speaking, the more you get paid for your time, the higher level professional you're considered. And that's not always the case, but pretty consistent. So I've been working as a food professional in Las Vegas for the last 7 years, and I mostly have worked with individual clients. From just a basic meal plan, basic meal prep, to in people's homes, to professional fighters, taking care of all of their food before their weigh-in and after their weigh-in. Like to that T, to cooking for LeBron James's basketball camp from Nike here. And you have these like giant 16-year-olds. And Nike says, you know, put together a clean menu that 16-year-olds are going to want. So that's where being a professional comes in, having a vast array now of knowledge from different spectrum, different types of individuals. So with all that kind of backdrop, now we want to look at what are the things that, no matter the person, they're not going to change. So there's a few things, when no matter who we're talking to, that are essential to look at. One, physiology. Individual to individual, physiology is not going to be dramatically different. Body types, yes. Metabolism, yes. But physiology is the science of how your body works. My bachelor's is in biology. Traveled the world for 5 years, went back to school for culinary. And I went to the Culinary Institute of America, and I'm proud of it because it's like, you know, basically considered like the Harvard of culinary schools. And I focused in culinary nutrition. So I was, you know, already 27 when I went back to school, so I was pretty serious at that point about my career. And, you know, came out here, started working with people directly, and these are the things that I've learned. You can't ignore what your physiology does. So people will talk about like allergies or sensitivities. That's one thing. Another thing is when you say putting some form of glucose in your body is going to stimulate the response of your body releasing insulin into the bloodstream, which has a whole series of physiological and psychological effects. No matter who you are, it doesn't matter. No matter how old, this is how your body works. This is your biology. The second thing is basically your lifestyle. And when it comes to lifestyle, I focus on one word when it comes to food, and that's convenience. Convenience. If it doesn't become convenient somehow by your own planning, having something that's easily accessible no matter where you are, when you are, or then I get into what I call the pitfalls, right? And all it takes is one pitfall to get off of a really good track, and if you don't jump back on real quick, and you need to have something that you can rely on, that you can go back to, that you know is going to work. So even when it comes to food, I talk about meditation. Start every day with 20 minutes meditation. Basically, roll out of bed, do what you need to do, and sit down. Turn off your phone. And that, I guarantee you, your food habits change just from doing that. Just from doing that.
Very interesting. Why do you think that is? Because I do the same thing. I feel like we need to take the time to actually think. It almost feels like a lost art in our society. Taking time to still the mind and to just stop for a minute because we're just so busy. And I feel the same way. I feel like when I have that stillness, it definitely gives me that insight. A lot of, too, what you're talking about almost kind of sounds like people who are in recovery. Get back up. Think things through. Prepare. Make sure that you're in safe places at all the time. And if you prep, and that's not easy to do. Look ahead. look at what the food choices could be and make those decisions accordingly. But let's get back to meditation. Why do you think the meditation would involve what we're going to eat?
Again, there's two aspects to everything that we're going to talk about with food. One is your physiology, the why you choose what you choose that you can't really control, right? You can be like, my discipline gave out, my determination gave out. Your physiology will overcome your psychology every time. It's the same reason you hear about the thing where the mom's kid is trapped under the car and she's like, I'm going to pick up a car, right? A woman who's never been to the gym a day in her life. So your physiology will overcome your psychology. And number two is, again, just that you have to put yourself in a good position to eat the things that are aligned with the goals that you have, right? So I would say there's no good and bad food. There's the outcomes of those foods. The food, how can you moralize a food, right? And then now we're back into the psychology. And that is where so many people, and all of us, this is normal. When I say so many people, I really should say all people, to some extent, are going to have a dip. Because, again, even your psychology on that level is tied in some way to a physiology. I don't completely understand that chain, but something happens where we shut down and we're saying, now it's just tumbling. And then, if you're eating real clean, and then all of a sudden one night you sit in front of the TV and have a bag, and, just if you want to just have a real practical tip, stay away from bags, boxes, and windows. And this is not my original idea, but it works. It works. So if just stay away from bags, boxes, and windows as a general rule of food. There's so much more I could go into that, but let me pass the mic back.
I like that. Stay away from bags, boxes, and windows. So you're talking about anything that's in the window that says, hey, look at me, brand new pudding.
More like getting your food out of a window.
Oh, fast food. So let's just say, worst case scenario, you didn't plan.
Okay.
You didn't think ahead. You didn't get out of bed and meditate that morning. Okay? And you had to stop and you were starving. What would you do?
So I brought you a little present today. So, and this is a nutrition system that I use. The company is called Isogenics.
I've heard of that.
And it has changed the game for me. That is one of our shakes. That's a dairy-free shake. Do you prefer dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Depends on the day.
Milk chocolate with sea salt and caramel.
Yes, that sounds really fun.
There's one of those.
Sea
we
salt
call
and
those
caramel milk
isodelites.
chocolate.
This is an amp fuel. It's like a gel if you're having like a real long day and you don't get to eat something. And this is
that happens.
What's called Hydrate, which is kind of like a Gatorade, like electrolyte balancer, like basically balance out the pH in your blood. Again, when you kind of are like just going, especially in the heat here in Vegas.
It totally depletes us. What do you think about Gatorade in general? And I don't care if you slam or not.
High fructose corn syrup. Just stay away from it. It goes right in your bloodstream as glucose, which is what we call high glycemic index food, which your body can't respond to without creating massive amounts of cortisol. And cortisol is what we call stress hormone. And certain products that we have are actually designed, like this has what's called adaptogens in it, which you can go look up. It's not about isogenics. This is what the cutting edge knowledge. That's what I've always been on. So I got into health and nutrition. To be honest, when I was all the way back, when I was 10, my mom passed. And we were a healthy family. But my dad was like, he focused all his energy into training. He was a tennis player and golfer. And he built our whole basement out as a gym. Matted floors, mirrored walls, machines, dumbbells, everything. And he started changing the way we ate as a family, from having like Twinkies and stuff like that in the downstairs cabinet to like having whole wheat pasta and at that time it was Metrics. He had these Metrics boxes that you'd get from Costco. And that was at 13 or 14 years old. And I saw my dad transform, get swole, and I was like I was like Superman, like superhero. Like, how do you just do that? And so I got into it, but I pursued it as a science. And I went to school for it, for biology, to understand, again, the why is greater than the how. And I've changed when I was 26, I did raw vegan. Like so many different things that I experimented with to learn. Right now, I basically eat a vegan. It's what is becoming more like popular as like the Tom Brady diet, but I was kind of doing it before he came out with it as a diet, which is basically minimal inflammation diet. What I call it as my style of food, how I cook, I call it clean burning fuel. Okay, so you're putting the maximum amount of nutrients in your body and the minimal amount of waste, things that you don't need. There's always going to be waste, everybody poops, right? But right? And it's important what you're putting into how you poop is. That's really important too. And like people don't want to talk about it, but it's healthy to talk about all that stuff because that's healthy.
Because if
right?
you're not digesting, and we know that our stomach has so many neurotransmitters, and it's where our gut, right? It's our instincts. If we don't have digestion and we are eating junky McJunk, then we wonder why we don't feel good. So I do understand that concept. What I loved about what you said is Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He was at Health, Healing, and Happiness. Little plug for you guys because I love that conference. It's health, it's healing, it's happiness. Everyone should go. They have another one in Sedona this year in October. But he said, you know what? We should all be nutritionists. Nutritionian. We need to be eating nutritious food. It is not enough for us to just be trying to eat healthy. That's really just not good enough.
So that's so powerful right there. Because again, when I say truths for everybody, that's what we want to kind of find. Like I said, physiology is the truth for everybody. Convenience, we haven't really gotten into that too much. I spoke to how isogenics helps me with that. I'm going to get a little bit more into that. But convenience is another one you can't ignore. And then basically being nutrient focused. So what I always say is, what do you do with someone who's incredibly sick? They can't even eat. Put them on IV. Why? Because that is just getting the nutrients. The absolute minimal that they can do is just get the nutrients. Now, if your body's doing that when it's running on a minimal level, why is that when we're running on a higher level we should put garbage in? Why should we just start doing just because then we start to slow it down. It has to work harder. Now, if you do that one night, like you have pasta or something like that, for me, if pasta is like, it takes a lot of work. Because, like, a little like ChefKas pointer right here, usually, like, for most people, to some extent, dairy in the forms of cheese and butter are going to cause some inflammation response, especially if you're eating them regularly. It might be bloating. Bloating is an inflammation response.
Mucus, right?
Mucus, okay? So, and then breads tend to do the same. Maybe a little bit more in your joints, maybe a little stiffness, maybe a little fog-headed. So these are usually some symptoms of eating bread and wheats. So, and even like rices can do that too. And that's not that, that's insulin, cortisol. That's that chain. Okay? So when you understand that, so you don't say, oh, I'm going to never eat those, because you might feel like you might go out to a place one night or whatever. It's just, I'm going to eat this less, and I'm going to stay on the higher plane less. I'm going to stay on the higher plane more. I'm going to be down here less. So what I've realized is most times we eat butter and cheese. We eat it with bread and pasta. So it's
and
like
garlic.
a double whammy. Garlic's awesome.
Love
Keep
garlic.
eating garlic all day.
So if we eat garlic on the bread, no.
No, you eat what you want. But what happens is, just like you're at a certain point where you're talking about how changing what you eat has made you feel differently to you maybe 5 or less years or more years ago, would have not been able to understand it as a concept of, you'd have seen it as giving something up. Now you would see it as adding way more in terms of value, because it's, again, not saying you can't. That's not the point. It's saying that when you have it, you're going to enjoy it more, / you're going to feel better so much more that when you have it, it's actually going to stand out to you how little you're interested in this thing that you thought you were so interested in.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way for me. I always think about like bread too. When I eat the bread and then I don't feel very good afterwards, I always remember, that's why I don't eat as much bread. That's another Dr. Joel Fuhrman. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead.
And insulin, again, keep in mind that insulin is like a self-perpetuating hormone, right? If you put anything that spikes your insulin in, you're going to want more of that thing. That's why I call it the bag of chips effect. No one feels good after eating an entire bag of chips, and everyone keeps doing this. Right? And you do it until you're scraping the bottom with your finger and licking it, right?
Rip the bag
all
open.
the seasonings. Like, just open your own seasonings and stick your, you know what I mean? So, why do we do that? It's nothing personal. It's physiological.
So maybe not beat yourself up over it. When you get it, enjoy it, right? Enjoy it and don't have the guilt and all those other things. Because I think it actually makes it worse when you do those things. When you partake in something that you truly enjoy and then you feel bad the whole time. I don't think that's conducive to health overall either. What do you think?
Well, again, just go back to how do you want to feel. And if you trace it to that root, then you have a comparison. You know, just saying, you know, it's enough to I know I feel better. Yeah, but now it's not. You're not invoking. Like, take the 2 states, put yourself in how you feel. Like, today I've basically been doing intermittent fast morning. I've had some cherries. I've had my superfood coffee. And I make this jumpstart drink with some of my products first thing when I wake up. It's a greens powder and adaptogen powder. And I'm not saying this is the only way to go, but I just found with this system that this took care of my nutrition. And I'm a chef. I paid $40,000 to go to school to study this. When I cook, you better believe, when I eat, I cook. And I cook for a family, so I also get my fill of just doing cooking. And I cook everything for them. It's little kids who I have to make very special things for. So you asked about food being easy in the beginning. Let's go all the way back to that. Now getting into the kitchen. One, get in the kitchen. Get better. Every time you cook, you can improve. You can refine your skill set. You might roast something at 375, and you saw it was almost caramelized and crispy, like the sweet potatoes that I do. I do a lot of videos on my Facebook channel, Kasfitlife, okay, KASFITLIFE, and www.kasfitlife.com. And on ChefKas.com as well. There's a lot of cooking tips. That's more just general techniques, but Kasfitlife, I talk about making things easy for nutrition. And when you kind of just start to get in the kitchen, experiment, try different foods, make them I have a client who he loves everything with cheese and bread and all that kind of stuff, but he also loves my crispy kale. He loves it. And it's a balance now. Now we're getting both things on the plate. So it's not about perfection. There's always going to be another step. It's a very long, deep rabbit hole. Don't get sucked up in it. Let me just I know we're kind of wrapping up shortly, so I know there's a story that I want to share, and this hit home, because when I read this, it was not the bottom of the rabbit hole, but it was it helped me understand with perspective. And it was by, I believe, David Wolfe. He has the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and it was his newsletter, and he talked about how at one point he was so down in this rabbit hole that he went to a breatharian retreat. Okay? And the leader teaches people you don't actually need to eat. You can get everything you need from breathing. So day one, maybe they're feeling pretty good and a little bit this is crazy, but okay, we're running on adrenaline because that's what's going to happen. Understand basic parts of your nervous system: fight or flight, relax, and digest. They're split. They can't basically coexist. So that starts to kick in, which is healthy. And that's about intermittent fasting. That's a whole other subject. Intermittent fasting is one of the best things you can do for yourself. But day 2, day 3, they're starting to get worn down. They're we're doing what he's saying. And then finally day 3, they him and I think he was with his girlfriend. They just take off. Stop at the first bar, pizza place on the side of the road. Go grab a pizza, come out, and they kind of hear a rustling in the bush. What was that? And they go over and they open the bush up, and there's the guru eating pizza. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Best way to know is to try it for yourself and find out. Give it 30 days, give it 60 days. A reasonable amount of time. The truth also is sometimes you're going to have to pay for what you want. Good things are not usually cheap.
Yeah.
Now, you can learn to cook and make things less expensive, right? It's a skill that you develop and is an investment. But, if you want good nutrition, if you want the right nutrition, it doesn't mean it has to be expensive, because you get what you pay for. It becomes so worth it that you can't imagine, why would I ever go back to what I thought was cheap? Anyone who used to eat McDonald's and fast food can understand that stuff is not cheap.
Well, count the cost too. I mean, really count the cost. When you actually pay for good food, or you pay for a good education too, so you really know what you're doing. Or you go in there and you actually take the time to chop and cut and get into the kitchen and do food prep, then you're operating more optimally. You're more present with people. You have a better overall you're feeling good. I mean, what can you put a price tag on feeling good, We are going to take a small break, and when we come back...
We're just breaking. Yes.
We're going to take a small break.
I thought we were done.
No, we got a couple more minutes. We're going to talk about movement.
Yeah, and I'm just noticing as I put my arm up that I got this awesome vein right here. So remind me if I forget when you talk about blood flow and the importance of blood flow and how it connects movement and nutrition.
Yes, and you might have to come back because we also have to talk about some other things too. Because I'm going to ask you, I don't know if I should go there. We'll wait. We'll wait and see what the surprise question is.
And also, here's what I'd like to do at the break, is if you could have at least a quarter of that iced light, and we'll just see how the video goes.
I guess I'll eat some chocolate. Okay, stay with us on Good Medicine. I'm Counselor Holly Davis, and my guest today is ChefKas. Got a lot of stuff talking today. You got to stay with us.
We're gonna have to do some movement.
You're clear.
I was thinking about doing some capoeira, but I'm going to try some.
These are just, you don't have to be right on the minute. It's just okay, about 5 minutes we should be taking a break, and so
So when we come back from the break, we'll probably have,
we're
say,
going to
20
have
minutes?
just a hair over 20 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about, maybe we can make John do some capoeira. You think he could do it?
Do what?
Capoeira. Some, I don't know.
Smart.
I honestly can't explain it.
Capoeira is African Brazilian martial art.
African Brazilian martial arts, John.
Oh,
Is-
no,
is-
I only have one lung and
It-
PTSD, so don't...
But you can do it for any age. When
I know, but I'll end up killing somebody.
remind me about one of my first capoeira related stories when I was in Brazil.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you that. What is it? How do we do it?
For sure.
All right, we got about 20 seconds.
You know what? Would you please do me a favor and get that? Would you just take my phone and drop it in my purse, please? It's
Hope everybody
driving
out
me
there is
nuts.
enjoying. This is
I'll take care of it.
live feed as
Alright,
we
here we go.
record. Whoa.
Chocolate. It's live internet television. Is that like the coolest thing ever?
I'm
like
grateful.
the age of communication. We can transmute all the information and knowledge that we have to other people like that.
You said at the beginning about giving it to others.
Sharing.
That's what you said.
You know, and that's like the most important thing. You can't just get all this information and not share it with others. If you have something that has worked for you, that has changed your life, we have to share it with others. And that's what this program is about. I'm a counselor. Adam is a chef. And not only is he a chef, there's a whole lot of stuff that you do. I mean, you're really busy. You're doing a lot of things. Like a multi-hero, we said. We called you a multi-hero, right? Or multi-superhero?
I like
A multi-superhero, like I am myself. I'm a multi-superhero mom, counselor, Zumba instructor, yoga instructor, and oh my gosh, I don't even know, doTERRA. I get so into living it to the fullest and looking for answers for health and optimal living, because my philosophy in therapy for me, I don't even like that word therapy, in coaching or guiding, is it's like the sweet nectar of life. Everything that's beautiful, everything that's good, let's do more of that. Yeah,
You know what I
life is
call
hard.
those things?
What's that?
You know what I call those things?
What's that?
Things that make you forget to look at your phone.
Yeah, I like that. Let's forget the phone. You know, that's awesome. So here's my question that I wanted to ask you before the break, and it's really difficult because this is just something that I've been going on in my own journey. To eat meat or to not eat meat. Do we eat meat or do we not eat meat?
Wow. And you're like, I'm going to trick you by telling you we're talking about movement, so you think about that.
Oh, we're going to talk about movement because capoeira and capoeira.
With an R. Right here.
Capoeira.
Capoeira.
Capoeira
Yes.
and I teach Zumba, and I don't know, it doesn't have any, they're both, I guess, Latin. They're both Latin and have some movement to it, but we've got to talk about movement. But before we get onto that, just about food again, because really the crux
it's a great question.
The crux
Great
of our
question.
show today is about food and fitness made easy, and I think that's an oxymoron. I don't really think that it is easy. You got
Gets
to
easier
think
and it
about
gets harder.
and you got to get
It
into
gets
the kitchen,
easier and
right?
it gets harder. Gosh, both.
And we're still on a journey.
As we
We're
level
still
up.
learning. So that's where I am right now for me, is to eat meat or not to eat meat.
So let me just address that point and then address the second point. So my new venture, so I started ChefKas about 7 years ago. And like I said, worked with some cool clients, but it was still very like chef-based, like cooking-based, culinary-based. I had my own restaurant at one point, and it just wasn't what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to be more working with people, helping them on it, like this totality. I basically realized nutrition alone, cooking alone wouldn't do it, right? So that led me to this venture that I've created called Kaswiner Life that incorporates all these things. My first blog was about meditation. Actually, my first blog was why I quit my job to create my other job, with my ChefKas. So, when you say like, making it easy, and it's never going to be easy, what's the slogan for Kaswiner Life is the next level in health and wellness. And if you pay attention, it doesn't say the last level. It doesn't say the next level and then you're going to be done. It doesn't say stay where you are and be satisfied, because those are not the people that this is for. This is for the people who are hungry for the next level. And the crazy thing about those people, if you're already one of those people, if you're becoming one of those people, if you've been one of those people and you want to be again, is there's always going to be a next level.
There's always going to be a next level. And I think it's interesting, too. I think one of the things that we talked a little bit on is a lot of people will come in and they're like, something's wrong with my life. Nothing's wrong with my life. No, this is fine. Something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. And then they finally go, you know what? I'm not happy where I am, and I really do want to go to the next level. Then they take the next level, and they're like, hey, you know what? That's probably the hardest part. Then when they actually go to the next level, then they realize that the next level and maintaining and preparing and then sharing it with others, it does get easier. It's the discipline of actually going in and just making that decision from the beginning. I'm eating gravel sandwiches and saying it's delicious. Nice food pun. Or it's not delicious anymore and I don't want to do this. I need to do something different. And maybe they're listening today and they're like, hey, maybe I should check that out. What's the website again?
Kasfitlife.com, KASFITLIFE.com.
There you go. And then listen to Good Medicine every Tuesday at noon. Little plug. So, to eat meat, not to eat meat.
Cool. So, I don't think, like I said, there's a right or wrong with food. I think it's an evolution. That's why I led up to it, the next level. If you don't feel called, look, I got started with basically being vegan. About 95%. The 5% is dairy. I haven't eaten meat. I had fish once when I was on this last trip to Brazil because it was like, I don't know. I kind of felt like it was appropriate. But I don't. My body doesn't ask for it. Sometimes my eyes do. Sometimes even like I'm like, oh, I made this amazing thing. But when I go to my body, when I go to my gut, it's like it's gonna make you feel slow, and there's just nothing that's wanting it. And I do keep myself fueled with premium vegan nutrition. So, I eat a ton of chickpeas. I eat a ton of avocado. I eat a ton of hummus, which is more chickpeas. I eat a lot of carrots. I eat a lot of nuts. I eat a lot of cashews, mostly cashews these days. Maybe some macadamias, but fresh fruits like you saw with the cherries earlier. Certain dried fruits like dates I find are really solid nutrition. I use a lot of coconut oil, and then basically when I'm on track, my only starch is sweet potatoes, and a little bit of quinoa maybe. That's basically it. Maybe some other legumes in there. So again, the optimal level of eating for me is this idea of clean burning fuel. Basically what I just described. There's not, like, you could ask me, is this included? Yeah, it's usually yes or no. And it's not to say you can't eat a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But going all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, I said there's a psychological and a physiological, right? And the physiological part is very different than the psychological. So the psychological might need something, and that's important. If you don't push the release valve every once in a while, it can lead to pushing it or the thing exploding. And everybody experiences that. You have to know what your thresholds are. Just this morning I was writing about this idea of baselines. Establish, stabilize, and sustain your baseline. When you've done that, raise it. Repeat step 1. And when you do that with whatever you're doing, so if you're saying like eat meat or don't eat meat, is it something you want to do? Do you want to? Like, if not, don't. But you might want to try 3 days. So don't make it, I have to do this for the rest of my life. Oh my God.
It's a sentence.
Right? Yeah. It shouldn't feel anything moral. It should be based in physiological. So you might say, I want to do a vegetable, plant-based cleanse eating few days. It might be I want to do a juice cleanse. It might be I want to do an isogenics cleanse. We have an isogenics cleanse. We don't eat for 2 days. We drink a high-density nutrient powder. And then what it does is it helps me realign with everything. And also, my food choices become much easier because now my head is clear because now I said no to everything for 2 days, just 2 days. And it could be 1 day. Sometimes I break the cleanse, and it's okay. But then I get back on track. And when I go to those foods that I said, which are vegan, and if you say, well, what's the point? Well, the point is that I want to have a lot of energy. Point is, I want to get a lot done. Point is, I want to be ultra focused, like you were talking about, present. I want to be able to do everything I do on the highest level. I know I can do it right now, and continue to raise my level.
Does this guy have tons of energy or what? And clarity, totally. And I've even heard that in some studies that when you are in that state of being hungry, then you actually are more clear. So for me, I don't eat a big meal and then try to do my billing or write notes or write at all. I think first thing in the morning for me, after I'm doing my meditation or some kind of movement or some kind of yoga, then I go and do those things when I'm not hungry in the morning, but when I eat a lot, I'm hazy, and that's every human being, right? 2 or 3. Why is everybody tired? Why can't we take siestas? Speaking, I don't know how we're going to wrap this into siestas, but you were traveling. I'm having this feeling that you're traveling. You're going throughout the planet. You're traveling for how many?
I had the better part of 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
I thought you said 5 years. And did you?
And that's something that was in the U.S., but a lot of it was outside of it too.
Is that where you learned the Capoeira?
Yeah, so actually, after I graduated, I went to Emory University in Atlanta, studied biology and philosophy there. As soon as I graduated, I was like, real job? Nah. I had spent some time in Australia. I had spent some other time in other countries, and I was like, I want to get more culture. I want to get more experience. I want to learn a language. And I decided to apply for the Peace Corps. And I was like, why not? I mean, basically it was like I was in the law school, Emory Law School advisor's office, and I kind of joked about it. And I was like, maybe I'll join the Peace Corps. And she was like, it would look good on a resume. So that's kind of how I sold it to my dad. It's like, it'll look good on a resume. And then, like, basically it was committed to 27 months in another country. And in between graduation and my date, which I didn't even know where I was going. I had a date, but I didn't know where I was going. I went to Europe for 5 weeks. I was traveling through Europe, and I was in Amsterdam, and I saw Capoeira, and I was like, you said you're a yoga instructor. So my whole life in martial arts, kid taekwondo, high school wrestling, college jiu-jitsu, and throughout college and high school, ton of weight training as well. So it was very like bulky and tight and all stiff. And I got into yoga my last year of college, and I fell in love with that. And especially because it was so hard for me. I was like, downward dog. I'm gonna die.
It's good for you.
I'm gonna die, right? Exactly. It was like it was 2002. It was
That's
like
a
yoga's
resting
for girls.
pose, by the way.
Now I'm better. Now I still do a lot of yoga. I'm due this week. But yoga honestly ended up being a perfect bridge for me between all the other stuff I had done and Capoeira, because Capoeira has a lot more flow. It requires being a lot more dynamic, a lot more flexible, a lot more agile, a lot more present. Other martial arts present too, but Capoeira is very different in that respect. So I basically fell in love with it. Ended up going to Bangladesh for 27 months. Was back in the U.S. for 2 weeks. Went to Bangladesh for 27 months. In the middle of my trip, I wanted to visit my family. Bangladesh, we got a little too comfortable. I was there like about 14, 15 months, and I was like, I like mosquito nets. I could get used to working about an hour and a half a day and basically being, a celebrity in my town. This is not terrible. So I was like, I better go home and check out everything there. So I came back, and I looked up Capoeira, New Jersey, where my family lives, on the internet, and I found a little group, and I went to 3 classes that they had that Thanksgiving week. Then I went back to Bangladesh for another year and a half or so. Ended up coming back to the U.S. I went to live in Hawaii for a little while. Actually, that was yoga related. It was kind of a yoga alternative community there. Very health-based community. And my first weekend, I was like, this is so perfect. Everything is here, except Capoeira. And they had this event, and that first weekend, there was this flyer on the table for a Capoeira workshop just down the street. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like the calling. So I ended up training with those guys about 3 months. And then I was 26 years old. I had money from the Peace Corps. I'd been volunteering in Hawaii, basically, again, doing a work trade. It's like, I'm going to Brazil. Bought a 6-month ticket. Didn't
I can hear
speak any
some Portuguese music right now. What is it? Axie? What is it? A-X-E? What is that?
Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe. Yeah, you
I
guys
gotta work on my
probably play
Portuguese.
that in Zumba.
I still don't know how to. I don't know how to do any of that. But so, is it the music that's involved? I mean, is the music a part of it, or is it just? What exactly is it? It's just I just don't understand. Tell me. Teach us.
So music is integral in Capoeira. It's one of the things that differentiates it from other martial arts. Everything's to Capoeira music.
Love music. Music is so powerful. It's like one of the most important, to me, it's one of the most important things on the planet. It is such a gift, right?
So let me go back a little bit. You know, I was in Amsterdam, and I'm in this park they have called the Vondel Park. It's like the central park of Amsterdam. The Van Gogh Museum is right in the center of the park. And I'm standing there just walking around. It was a beautiful day. There were some old men playing chess. There's a street basketball court with these guys, super athletic. There was a DJ spinning. They were playing, like, dunking and everything, like 3-on-3 in Middle Amsterdam. And then behind them, there's a skate park, and these guys are doing flips. You talk about manifestation. At that moment, I heard this boom, ba-doom, da-doom, ba-doom, da-doom, and it was just this drum somewhere in the park. And I'm like, and I found it, I saw it, and that's when I was like, that one. And, that led me to, Brazil and everything. But the history of Capoeira is that it was created by the slaves in Brazil and disguised as a martial art. And, disguised as a dance. A martial art disguised as a dance. And so the martial art being disguised as a dance, they use music. And they also use the music to incorporate everybody together, to unify, to create a circle, to create harmony. And it's in that unity that there's true strength. So that's a huge part of the community, a huge part of Capoeira. And the music is a huge part of Capoeira. And there's also a lot of the history said through the music. So you learn Portuguese. I didn't play any instruments before I started. I definitely didn't sing. I love to sing. I love to play music now. It fills me. Almost sometimes more than the movement in some ways.
So let me get this right. You're posing like you're dancing, but you're actually going to stomp someone down.
That's the dangerous thing, right? When it looks so fluid and it looks so relaxed, and then there's a foot here. And the best people will put their foot here and pull it back. They showed you that they could, they didn't have to. And that's, thank you. And you learn, better go the other way now, right? So if the foot's here, better go this way.
So do you speak Portuguese now?
Sim.
Es muy... I don't speak any Portuguese.
What did you want to say?
I don't know. Is that that's really great.
Okay, você quer dizer. What do you want to say?
Okay.
What do you want to say? That's what I was saying.
So how do you say that's really great?
É muito bom. É ótimo. É ótimo. É ótimo.
So do you incorporate that also into your cooking? Let's talk about your cooking too, just for a second, because it's like you can create art and then eat it, right? And then everybody else gets to enjoy it, and it's a wonderful thing. I mean, you can't, no one can be a good enough cook, right? Everybody has that one meal that they can cook, and then you've got people on the other end, they can't cook anything, and they admit, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. But you have to have at least a couple meals, but then when you start getting involved and everybody's starting to enjoy it, that's such a gift.
So, I want to tabulate. We need to talk about my philosophy behind movement too.
Okay.
And because all this goes back to your original question, making it easy. Okay. So let's get back to that and blood flow.
Okay.
Okay. So, but with the cooking, like I said before, and this is kind of my same principle when it comes to exercise and movement. Do something. Get in there. So many people have this all or nothing mentality. To an extent, I think we all do, and we all are constantly, continuously getting over it. But if you just get in the kitchen, and sometimes it's like draw your inspiration from anywhere. If you're like, I'm going to make a terrible example, but if you're like, I really like McNuggets, it's like, okay, so what you're telling me is you like chicken and a crispy crust of breading, and you like it to be crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, and take out all the other stuff.
We need to dunk it too. You don't forget.
You
We have to have some sauce.
You can make some sauces. You can buy the cleaner sauces, and you can now make it in batches. And now you can have it in the freezer. So when you have a craving, you can get that instead of going out and getting the other thing, right? So, cooking is also one of those kind of like infinite arts. It's a beautiful mix of art and science. It's really both, and I love the artwork side. I think when I went to culinary school, it helped me become more refined in that way. And anybody can be a great cook. Anybody can, I don't want to say, for me, a chef is someone who has other people making their food, or has had other people doing that, working for them and creating what they created. So I think that's what the definition, and can run a kitchen, because that's not an easy thing to do. It's like, the whole
hard work.
The whole culinary system is based on what was called the brigade system, and it was developed by Auguste Escoffier, who, he came out of the military, and he changed. It used to be you had 5 cooks in the kitchen. Every cook would cook one person's food, and so much more like a personal chef would today. So Escoffier changed it to what's called the brigade system, where he broke it down by, you have garde manger, you have, you know, your fry, you have your grill, you know, you have your sauté, you have your saucier, you know. So he broke it down, separate all these positions. So one job is basically being done by one person, or that kind of job is being done by one person. So get in the kitchen and kind of learn. So there's all aspects, right? When I would do when I would go to people's homes and work with them, first thing I do is organize their kitchen. I'd be like, I'm gonna move your stuff around.
I'm totally thinking about having you come over. Please help me.
We can do a video.
Help me.
So it's got to make sense. If you don't have flow, how do you expect to do work?
Yeah, there has to be
You need
flow,
work,
right?
you need
You got to have a
flow.
good workstation.
Take all the unnecessary stuff out. Like take out if you have plants, like put them someplace you're not gonna put food. Like get the stuff you don't use off the countertops. Your countertops are your real estate. You know, clear them off.
It's not where Mel goes.
You don't have to destroy them. You know, but yes.
4 minutes to tell me about blood flow and
So movement.
movement.
So with movement, it's like first off, just like stand up, right?
Do I have to stand up?
Yes.
Should I stand?
I'm gonna take off my posture brace here. I always have like devices on. People kind of.
Am I doing capoeira? All of a sudden, I feel like I'm going to be doing
do capoeira, but we're just gonna move to stimulate blood flow, to increase our energy levels, stimulate metabolism, feel more energized than we do currently because we were sitting for a while, right? And that's another physiological response. That's what's gonna happen. So. Let's just stand for a second. Shake right now. Shake out your shoulders. Shake out your neck. Take anything that's like inconveniently on you.
This guy has more stuff than I do.
You have
No one has more stuff than I do.
Just shake out, jump around, jump around. So blood flow is so important because let's face each other, and we're just gonna hands. And we're just gonna squat. Just gonna squat. Just gonna squat. Good. Keep pushing when you squat. Heels down. Heels down. Heels down. Good. And come up. Good. And lean.
I was already starting to think about complaining, but I'm not going to.
Lean, and lean. And come back up, and come back down, squat. And turn your turn your and down. We're gonna go off camera here for a second. So blood flow is so important because go over to one way. East.
So we're doing capoeira?
No, just loosen.
I was going to say, we need music.
Open air. That's true as well. So we can use the table here. We'll just rest on it. So squat down. So blood flow is so important because blood carries nutrients, which we've been talking about this whole time. Another extremely important thing that it carries is oxygen, which is essential for your mitochondria, which are your energy producers. So when you stimulate blood flow, you start delivering all the stuff that we've been talking about, and you start delivering oxygen, and you increase your respiration rate, which increases your amount that you're taking in oxygen. So also like having plants around your house, I was just saying, don't necessarily have them right on the counter in the kitchen, but without coming all the way up, just switching like this.
John, you want to come over here. Come stretch.
Go deep, go deep, go deep, go deep. Let's see.
I've never had a guest ask so much.
And that's also like, things I do like this. This is called,
yeah, what is that?
That's called blood flow occlusion. And what it does is it slows down, which also kind of forces blood flow into certain areas. So as a result, you can heal injuries faster, and especially around joints, which are hard for people who have had injuries, because when you have injuries, it leads to stopping or having irregular movement patterns, and that leads to more problems. So you have to be able to keep working on range of motion types of things. So this helps with that, where you get a little additional support. It gives a little flexion to the muscle, gives a little support, like the sheath of your skin. It's a sheath, right? So this gives a little extra sheath.
So is there a reason why you just put it on one side, or is it
because I have a little bit of an injured, a little
see.
bit of this head of my tricep right here. Bam, bam, tricep, bam. Right? So this one doesn't have, but even flexing like that, I can feel it into my elbow. It's probably a hyperextension, probably something I did like this, landing on the floor.
Probably not in yoga.
I've actually strained some things in yoga because some teachers
you have to be careful.
Make the room a little bit too hot, I found, and it's just sometimes gets unnecessary, and then you lose your focus. So it can be a little bit much.
So for all intents and purposes, for everyone who's joined us today, movement is so important. If you can just start.
Just do something.
Just
Get out
do
of your chair.
something. Get out of your chair.
Walk around.
maybe one motto that we can talk about today to wrap up our show is maybe the more you're off your phone or don't want to go over the
You
phone,
like
maybe
that one, huh?
maybe the more
That's
you
a whole
know,
other show.
you're on the right track, and we definitely want to have you back.
Well,
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, and like, you know, just to kind of you asked kind of like to put like a little cap on it. It's basically, you know, do the things that make you feel the way you want to feel. More. Doesn't mean you need to be perfect, doesn't mean you need them all the time. But you will build the habit, you will build the discipline, it will happen because you feel better. And that's the most important thing to all of us, whether it's clear or not, that's the most important thing we want.
You know what? Thank you so much. I'm a hugger. You're awesome. Thank you. Good butt.
Right.
Thank you,
That's a
guys.
good one.
This is the first Good Medicine program in 2 years. I think it was awesome. We're doing Capoeira. We're talking about food. We're talking about just living a beautiful life. So join us next Tuesday at noon for Good Medicine. I'm Holly Davis with ChefKas. Have a great one.
You're clear.
Thank you.
Namaste.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Get out.
Okay.
Heard, Chef.
Okay. So, all right. I'll embed this card down in the corner of the video.
Do you
So
wanna try
don't
some
leave my
chocolate?
shoes for...
Do
Pardon me?
you want to try some chocolate?
I hate chocolate.
Would you like to try some? I can
Okay.
give you a shake too if you'd like. I have more shakes in the car. Would you like a shake?
Okay, so that'd be cool.
Okay, I'll get
You're
you a
going to
shake.
be hanging around till about 3,
Yeah.
so I'll catch you right after Ricky's
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
We'll get
Later,
you the
guys.
promo
Hope
code.
you
Yes,
enjoyed.
yes, yes.
See you next
Yes,
time.
yes.
Yeah, this was fantastic.
Yeah.